Takes flight of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
All right, how's it going, everyone? Today is Sunday, and I am very proud that there was not a lot of drama today. I'm sorry, guys. So yeah, it's been a good weekend so far, and it's been enjoyable. I will say the least. That we managed to squash out some of the drama that was forming early on Friday. With this whole goofiness of a lawsuit or whatever. But I'm really proud of you guys that we all did really come together with that and say hell no. So thank you, thank you. I think it's epic. So, but on that note, Jesus, like I've been away trying to figure out some stuff for our RV and everything, and just kind of spending time with my family. And I mean the amazing stuff that you guys are finding with this game with GameStop, and the fact that the float is like 3-4 times what it's supposed to be. Um, that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Jake, what is going on? Jake?
Yo, hey, how's it going? It's
Good.
Sunday. Hey, just want to pop in here, open mic. Gonna make myself some food, but you guys know where I can get an avocado? I'm in California.
Most grocery stores should carry avocados. I'm not familiar with California stores, but I mean Walmart, Target, Safeway, most places like that would have avocados. Heck, I think even Costco and Sam's or those kinds of places have avocados if you want an abundance of them. um,
Okay, all right. And just for the record, we're going to Pluto,
we are.
guys. AMC's going. I know it's the GME room, but AMC's going to Pluto, and I'm praying for the GME folks. I am praying for you guys. I know you guys are gonna squeeze, but AMC's going to Pluto.
I mean, this is gonna be an interesting week, in my opinion. Not financial bias, nothing like that goofiness. Um, but this week is gonna be interesting. Like, I'm not hyping any dates. I'm not, we know it's Quadruple Witching Friday, so I'm not hyping anything. But I'm just curious as the market in general, what we are looking at. Sorry, I'm just catching up on YouTube.
I mean, I don't know too much about what's going on in the market, to be honest. I got in this because of the whole GameStop fiasco, and I want to make money. And then I found out about what the hedgies are doing, and it got me all tied up. And in it, I can't get out of it until it squeezes. So I'm
I
sure most of
understand.
you are in the same boat, unless you're a swing trader, day trader, scalper, and fool, trying to make money off different price predictions. But the only price I'm interested in right now, the floor is 1 million. Okay, for AMC. I heard the floor for GameStop is about 5 million.
Oh no, it's like
So
50. Oh no. Oh no. They
50
they
million.
so there is a
What? Okay, I've been living under a rock.
oh yeah, it hasn't been
It's
5 million.
50 million per share for GameStop.
According, I think that's
No.
rounding
Are you
up a little bit.
serious? Or are you
I'm not
pulling my toe?
I'm not messing with you. So this is based on this is ape sentiment prices here. I don't. That's how I say my. That's my saying is the ape sentiment price. Um, someone I can't remember who did it, but somebody developed the GME floor price website, and it has been live. I think since February. Is that right, guys? Could have been March, but my house is crazy right now. This is why we
Your
don't do
dog
early
said March.
podcasts. But it has been going since February or March, and every day it just keeps adding dollars and tens of dollars and hundreds of dollars to the floor price. And I want to say it's like at 47 million. Let
Yo,
me look.
okay. I see DPS is in the room. I know he's a big GME guy. Hey, DPS, what's the floor for GME?
DPS, just give me 100.
Can you come
Oh,
on?
yep, he's coming up. DPS is in the house. Let me see.
DPS,
So honestly, like I've
give me the
always
floor, man.
I've always regarded the GME floor website as sort of satire.
It
I don't.
is.
Okay, yeah, I don't. I don't consider it
Yeah.
valid. Yeah, I have my own floor, and I think most other people do as well. Just kind of
What's the
depending.
floor? Tell us the floor.
So the GME floor on the website right now, as it's ticking up by the dollar, is $49,609,930.
This is
Yeah,
not a serious conversation.
that's why I was saying it's
DPS just
satire.
said that satire. What's the floor, DPS?
My floor for GME is 6 digits.
See, what does that mean?
6 digits.
It
Is
means
it
like
less or more than
it
500,000?
means it's less than 500,000 for me.
Okay.
I plan
Good.
on
I'm in
using.
the right play. AMC is the one for me. This is the one that's gonna take me to Pluto.
I think there are a decent amount of GME holders who do have $500,000 floors. That's just not where I set my numbers at, depending on what I want to get out of it.
Where are they? Let's bring them up. I want to
Well,
talk to
some
these
some
guys.
GME, honestly, like I think GME is so strongly positioned as a company. There's some of it that I probably won't ever sell ever. I'll just like hold it as an investment. But
Yeah.
I'm taking a portion of my shares and using them as a squeeze play sort of scenario.
Yeah,
You
no one really will fully tell you a floor price because it's a personal adventure, and that's where I say about having your own personal floor price.
I don't know. I've heard people tell me their floor price, so it's not really accurate. But
Yeah, no, well, I mean, people will say. I'm saying a lot of people won't because no one knows. No one can know for certain because this has never been seen before. This has never been done before, and we're looking at unprecedented times. You have because there's a lot of factors that we're going to have to take into effect with all this, right? Because if you zoom out on the broad market, you have you know inflation. That's going to be playing key. Like I don't know if you follow Boss Blunts, but he's been doing a phenomenal
yeah, I
job
follow him.
keeping track. Yeah, he really he really became a savior in my book because he kind of really came in as soon as I stopped. Like I basically fell off being able to post and post and post about the big broad market stuff. He comes out of nowhere and is starting to do it. So I'm like, this is phenomenal. But everything that he's been relaying to you guys and posting about is stuff that I've mentioned here and there based on what I could find at those points because I'm doing so much. And so you take into account inflation, you take into account, the debt ceiling that we have, the economic crash that is probably getting ready to implode right now, the market, the real estate market, the crypto market, the tech market. There's all these different bubbles at this point that are just ready to pop. And this is where AMC GME gets really interesting, and any of the big shorted stocks, so like Ocugen, Meta, any of these meme stocks, quote unquote, they become the inverse to the economy, which is very interesting
How does
because
that work?
because you have
They're
these
not
stocks.
connected though. None of these stocks are
Yeah, they are.
connected.
They're
How is
connected through
AMC?
ETFs. They're
How is
connected through
AMC?
ETFs.
Well, what do you mean? I
So
know
an
that ETFs comprise of stocks, but how are
Mhm.
they connected?
So at one point, I think there are actually more now. At one point, a couple months ago, they had shared 21 ETFs. So AMC and GME were in the same 21 ETFs. So if GameStop or AMC or Apple, Tesla, any of these stocks, if there's been any kind of major volatility within that one stock, it can actually affect those the others within that ETF. Let me bring up Can't Stop. So they are connected. They are very much connected in various ways. But you just kind of everything, and this is where I tell everyone the entire thing, the entire mess that we're seeing is connected because. So you have hedge funds that are invested in the stock market, and if they're invested, these same hedge funds are invested in the real estate market, the crypto market, these big tech companies. So the S&P, the Nasdaq, they're invested in all that, and so if we see a market crash, if the economy and then the stock market goes down, that means their liquidity is drying up. That means they're going to start having to cover. They have to cover their debts that are owed, and that's what these shorts are. Shorts are a debt that is owed, whether it's in GameStop, AMC, BlackBerry, Nokia, whatever you name it. They have to cover them. It's a debt owed, period. So therefore, if the market goes down, their liquidity dries up, they get margin called. They have to cover their bad positions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So therefore, the meme stocks are now the inverse. The market goes down, meme stocks go up. Bada bing, there is MOASS. Hey, Can't Stop. What's going on?
Sorry. So about how they're connected or whatever. So it's like you got to think. I'm sorry. Go ahead, DPS.
Oh, I just wanted to correct myself real quick. I think like I just wanted to clarify that my floor is actually 5 digits, not 6. I apologize for conveying bad information about my opinions.
Man, you keep reducing your floor, DPS. What's going on?
I don't want to give bad information about how I feel. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks for letting me speak. Go ahead, Can't Stop.
So the way that they're all connected, right? It's like you think it's the same algorithms that are and funds that are shorting AMC are also the same with GameStop and vice versa, and the majority of the same people that are holding these stocks have the same sentiment for the most part, right? It's like buy, hold, when it goes down, not selling. So they're connected like on a bunch of different levels, not just being shorted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch. Can't Stop. They're connected in so many different ways that it's ridiculous, and you can see that there are a lot of GameStop and AMC holders that hold both. And so they, just the community driven aspect is, a connection point. So it's an interesting scenario. It really is.
Question. So, okay, so if they're connected, okay, let me just kind of talk through this point. If they're connected and hedge funds are shorting these ETFs, if there's a hedge fund that goes long on the ETF, does that mean all the stocks in the ETF will start rising in price, or like how's that work?
Yep. So that's what I actually found back in February, because it was back. So back in the February point is when we kept seeing a lot of the same movements between AMC, GME, BlackBerry. All the meme stocks were having the same similar charts, right? Like we kept seeing that. And so I have like, there's no such thing as a coincidence. That doesn't just happen 3 days in a row. So what are they doing? And so I started looking into, and I knew about ETFs. You know, I've been trading for years. So I figured, okay, they have to be connected somehow. And sure enough, I started diving into what ETFs held which stocks. And I got it almost down to a science for a few months that if if I saw Tesla matching GameStop and if it was Tesla, GameStop, and AMC, it was IWM. If it was Apple and Microsoft matching AMC but not GME, it was IWO. There was various,
So,
yeah. It's so
question. So, how do we get GameStop and AMC to go up with these ETFs? I don't care about the other bullshit stocks in the
nothing.
ETFs. Just GameStop and AMC.
Nothing. They'll do it. It's a natural thing. You don't want to go into the ETFs. That's not a thing. It's an indicator. At this point, we're literally doing what we're supposed to do: buy, hold the actual stock. The ETFs, it won't. That's just the way. That's just another way that they're manipulating it, and it's just another way to see what they're manipulating because they have, at one point, out of the 21 that they shared back in June. I believe 16 of them were almost at 100. They were either almost or at 100% utilization being shorted. Now that doesn't say that they are not shorting other stocks because we know Tesla's been shorted. We know they short all these other companies, right? So it just affects them all. So that's where I've always said like half the market is shorted. They're shorting the S&P 500. They're shorting the Dow. They're putting bets against our economy right now, and they're buying into the inverses. They know what's coming. They know exactly what's coming because there's no reason that they should be putting far out in the money call options on inverses. There's no reason for it. Like inverses just lose money. That's what they're notorious for, is that they just go down. Because I don't know if you know how an inverse works. For those that don't, that are okay. So an inverse does the opposite. So you have like UVXY is an inverse to the SPY, the S&P 500. So if the S&P 500 goes up, the inverse goes down. If the S&P 500 goes down, the inverse UVXY will go up, and it's a 3 times leverage, which means, say S&P goes down 1%, the UVXY will go up 3%, 3 times. So if it goes down 20%, guess what? UVXY is going to freaking moon, and it's stupid. But there is no reason to so I do advise to use these as an indicator. This is what I would say is use as an indicator. See what they're doing. Follow the banks. Follow the money. What are they looking at? What are they buying? Do not get into inverses. Do not touch it, because at the end of the day, AMC is linked to all the tech companies through the ETFs, and these shorts are going to have to cover their positions, their bad positions. So in Tesla, in Microsoft, if they're shorting any of those companies, and Amazon, or AMC, GME, these are all linked through various indices, and so eventually the SPY is going to go up, and so that's where it gets very shaky. Looking at these inverses, because I'm like, okay, if we MOASS, all of the market the rest of the market that's shorted will also be green, and that will bring up the NASDAQ, the Dow, the S&P, and the inverses go down drastically. So it's really shaky. So I use them as an indicator. I don't touch them. I don't play with them. They just help me understand what's kind of going on a broad market scale. So there's inverses to real estate, there's inverses to currencies, there's inverses to almost, the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, there's all kinds of them. So if you do want to learn them and learn about them, yes, 100%, don't touch them. Do not touch them. I can almost bet you'll lose money. It's just not a good thing to do. So that's inverses. Inverses are just for me personally, an indicator. What's going on? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just that I still don't know how they're connected. Like, because GME, like, let's say we had that 5%, at least on AMC, uptick on Friday, right? Like, what happened with the ETFs? Like, no one was talking about the ETFs, so therefore, it makes me believe that ETFs have nothing to do with the actual underlying securities.
Well, they have some to do. You said, well, how are they connected? They are connected through ETFs, but you also have, like
it's a collection, but it's not of individual stocks. It's just like a
yeah,
bundle.
it can be anywhere from a few to a few thousand. There are all kinds of different ETFs. I'm trying to think. So when it comes to like Friday, so you also have to look at inflow. You have to look at what's actually going on within the stock itself. There, what's going on with the ETF. Are they shorting the ETF? Like it's not just a simple plug-in. This is the equation. This should happen. If we do this, then this will occur. No, there's so much that goes into how the stock market runs, especially since we trade against computers. They're algorithms that they've programmed into these computers. They're just intense, and they are triggered to do exactly what they are programmed to do. So it's not always perfect, but they are still connected. Right? So I mean, they're not always going to move in synchronization. They're not always going to do that, because then that would be blatant. That would be blatant market manipulation, and people would call it out 100%. And they are wisening up to that. They are wisening up to the fact that we are constantly calling out like, hey, that shouldn't be doing that. And just the fact that you have millions, not hundreds, not thousands, but probably at least 10 million people or so watching these stocks, at least almost on a daily basis. And so I wouldn't put it past them to just kind of try to ease that tension, right? They just try to ease back away from it and say, okay, we can't do this constantly, because they're just going to keep calling us out. So, they have to still protect themselves. So that's just my main 2 cents on it.
Right on.
Yeah. So anybody in the audience, if you guys do want to come up and speak on GME, anything that you found, anything that you find interesting, anything that you want to talk about with GME, feel free to come up. It's an open mic tonight. It is up on YouTube. So if you do hear me just randomly say a question, it's because of the people on YouTube. But yeah, so I'll leave it at that. But I do want to say, so, DPS or Can't Stop, do you guys want to talk about this whole, float situation? Have you guys gotten to read a lot about it? Like I'm brushing up on it a little bit here and there, but have you read a lot about it?
I have an opinion on it, and
Okay.
I have not read a lot about it. I'll preface what I'm about to say based on that, and so there's computer. I'm a programmer, so there's things like computer glitches, right? When you don't reset values correctly, or sometimes like a value will be on your screen that's just erroneous, and if you close the app and reload your screen, it'll kind of like come back and to what it should be. And so I think I've seen screenshots over the course of like several months that just have like weird values, or charts that have like candles that are blinking, or candles that are just like massive, and like a lot of that I think pertains to software glitches. Now, with respect to the float, even if it was like valid, I'm not I'm not sure like how much it actually really even matters. And I say that from the perspective that the market makers, as we know, they don't do a hard locate when you put in an order from a share. So they actually have a legal responsibility to issue you an IOU and transact upon that buy and sell. And that's their obligation as a market maker. So, as a result of that, we see things like dilution of the total shares outstanding and price suppression and failed to delivers and stuff like that. So, you know, just based on general characteristics of some of the stuff that we're seeing, I think that there's some sort of general consensus that dilution is occurring, whether it be through what I was just describing or naked shorting, or, you know, long puts and calls sort of being, you know, paired into, you know, like this sort of like synthetic, I guess you can call it. And so like I think it's cool and people will like vibe on it, right? It kind of affirms the thesis that maybe potentially, you know, we do own the float 4 times over, 10 times over, whatever these numbers are indicating. But at the end of the day, I just sort of assume that more shares are out there than the total shares outstanding reported. And what gives, I'll say this and then give someone an opportunity to speak, but what gives me hope, honestly, is the CAT system. And you know, I say that from the perspective that the weird cases where like synthetics are being created, I believe it becomes sufficiently difficult to quantify them, especially when you see things like getting repackaged into ETFs and you know, like debt essentially being rehypothecated and stuff. The hairball becomes like so smashed up with peanut butter that you can't really like unwind it. And I feel like not even people who have like a really good idea of what's going on really know how many shares are out there. I don't know if anybody actually knows. And so I kind of like doubt that Yahoo Finance knows, is why I'm a little bit skeptical about it. But I think with the CAT system, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but I ask questions when I can find somebody that does. And my understanding is that the CAT system will uniquely identify shares that are transacted upon, whether they be inside of an OTC market, a lit exchange, a market maker. They're all kind of obligated to report to this system. And I think that over time, since shares are individually identified as they're transacted upon, if this sort of infinite dilution is occurring where you're kind of getting handed an IOU but not a real share, over time it will become more evident to authorities that significant numbers greater than the total shares outstanding actually exist. And at that point, it kind of becomes problematic from just a general supply and demand sense. It essentially means that the market is fundamentally broken because scarcity does not exist. And I think that if that is demonstrated through the use of the CAT system, it becomes more serious because investors will become more skeptical of an actual free and fair market. It suggests that our market doesn't work correctly. And I don't think that the powers that be want people pulling out as a result of that. So that was kind of a lot, but that's how I feel about these numbers that are being seen. So yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, and I do know there's glitches that have happened numerous times throughout a lot of this. Because I mean, technology um, at the end of the day, there is um, you know, something to be still had with technology because it is still new. Let's see. Freshmaker says on Twitter it's 60% louder. Crap. I have no idea, guys. I don't know what happened with my YouTube settings. I will fix it. I promise. But yeah, I don't know. Like,
Yo, I want to.
yes, Jake.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say I want to hear what Jubin has to say. Jubin's a real one. I know he's hustling to buy these AMC shares. So, hey, Jubin, you want to come on up? Tell us what you're up to.
Well, and I will say, like, so, um, I I don't know. Like, I'm a little sketched out in the sense of, uh, you know, the consistencies that we're seeing this week in DPS because of, you know, people changing their VPNs and seeing different data from different areas, different countries or whatever. So, um, that's a little weird. That is very odd that you'd have, um, you know, this whole, I don't know how to explain it. And so I don't know if it's actually glitch at this point. I'm very curious to see if it is, because I do know that someone sent me something. Sorry, my DMs get so full some days. But it was basically that they had gathered data from various sources, and they couldn't exactly say what was going on just yet, but they were looking into it. Was that tweeted out? Did someone share a tweet with me that said that? But it's the fact that, it's kind of like Ortex. Ortex gets data from a lot of different places, and we put a lot of faith into that, and which is kind of silly because we don't know exactly what Ortex is doing most days, because it's I've begun this thing where it's like, go home Ortex, you're drunk. And so I am curious. I am very curious to see if this is actually a thing. If it was a glitch in that sense, we wouldn't have it. I think it was the 10th, 11th, and we're now on the 12th, and it's going up. Like, these numbers are going up. Anyone that's been tracking it, like, it's just kind of craziness. Yes, Skin, what is going on?
Oh, it's another day. Hi guys, everybody doing great today?
Oh yes, always.
All right, so I went through the thread on Super Stonk about the seller. What do they call that? Seller boxing. So they were talking about the whole changing your VPN and then seeing a different number of the float on the Yahoo ticker for the float number. I went through 5 different locations on a VPN and I saw no difference in the number.
Oh really?
And I did actually make a video. It's just me on my desktop, no talking or anything. But I went through, and changed my location to 5 different countries, and I never saw a difference in the number. That's all.
No, hey, that's good DD. I like it. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And also,
simple as you can do it. That's all I know.
Yeah. No, some of my VPNs are very weird, so I don't know. They just do goofy things. So I'm still looking for like the best one. So if anyone has any recommendations, and I do, Skin, thank you for posting the ETF.com. So this is a good starting point, for sure, to see, kind of what to look for, in the ETF market, and see what ETF the stock is held in. And then you kind of have to go digging even more to make sure that it's still in that ETF, because they do leave and enter new ETFs all the time. But it's a great starting point for sure, definitely, so that you can kind of see what that looks like. Because I think, let's see, what is GameStop in right now? GameStop, whoa, it's a 93 now. Good Lord. And AMC's in 52. So yeah, that's even different from last month, the last time I checked anything into it. So you do, like I said, you do have to, it's a good starting point. And then if you really want to go do the meticulous work, you go in and you look at each individual ETF to make sure that that stock is actually in that company through SEC files or anything like that. It's a very long, drawn out process. If you have the free time, go do it. But if not, then no.
And to add to that, the problem is they don't have to report ETFs for like 3 months after the fact, that when they make the move. So
Yeah.
the information might never really actually be correct from what we can see.
Yep. And then, and that's if they report their short positions. Like, the ETFs are funny, but it's a good starting point. Like, it is it does show connections within the market and how they work. And I don't know, it's interesting. It's very interesting to look at. Let's see, John Diamond, did anyone ever do DD on the AMC 80 million diluted float to 513 million in 1 year? When Adam Aaron dumped those shares, did he give the shorters those shares? They were not at the market, right? They sold them into the open market, I think. They were dumped all at once. There was some DD on that a few months ago. It's on the AMC subreddit. You'll have to go and kind of go look into that.
I have the DD if you want it.
And Jake has it too.
Is this a question from YouTube?
It is.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Jake. Follow me on Twitter. Okay. Anyway, the reality is, yes, 25 million shares were dumped by Mudrick Capital, and then they were eaten up by everyone. So it was an issue among AMC shareholders, but we never voted for dilution. The 500 million dilution and the additional share dilution during the I think July vote was actually tabled. So first time ever, we shareholders of a company did not vote for dilution. So it's very bullish. I would not be concerned that the shorts have any sort of shares to use against us going forward. They're on their last run, or last leg of of shenanigans. Not
Yeah, and I know we're mainly GME tonight, guys, but to add to that, 80 million, even during that time frame, 80 million wasn't too bad because I think we were trading like 200 million a day. So it kind of got ate up pretty quick. No, I don't agree with it, and I think that was a BS move on so many levels from a lot of different entities, but I wasn't too worried about it that day. No, it was not. It was not gradual, not at all. That was just a mess. That was a mess of it. I remember that day very vividly. But yeah. So back to GME, guys. DPS, did you have your hand up for something?
Yeah, I did, and the person I forgot his skin. I think was his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like this. I didn't go through it and test this, but I think that this is the sort of thing where reproducibility of results kind of comes into play, and it sounds like, at least from his perspective, that was debunked by doing his own sort of test. But one of the other things that it could be is um, it could be like local browser settings and or something like that. There could be some like caching going on, so the issue might sort of be, if it's like software related, it could be localized and abstracted in some degree of complexity just based on characteristics shared amongst like certain individuals or geographic locations that can sort of reproduce this thing. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there that if it was valid, it presumably would be retestable. But I think that kind of you brought up some interesting points about like the numbers going up and this thing being able to be tracked over time. And I would think so. It's gotten some attention, right? And I don't know how much attention it's actually got on the other side for them to kind of like dot their I's and cross their T's. I would think at a certain point, and this is pure speculation, but they they can't necessarily be knowingly communicating information that is grossly invalid, because people rely upon them as a data source to make investment decisions. So at a certain point, I would think that this kind of crosses the boundary of sort of negligence, if you will, and that they would want to sort of like avoid that scenario. So as this thing, if it keeps going, right, the numbers keep going up and people are still scratching their heads and pointing fingers and stuff like that, I would think eventually it's going to garner at least enough attention on their side to take a close look at it and try to figure out where these numbers are coming from. But yeah, that's about all I got.
Yeah, 100%. No, and you're right. I mean, if it is some kind of, you know, glitch or, miscode or whatever it is, and that is negligence. But at the same time, like I don't know because we do know that the AMC, GME, all these are very heavily shorted stocks, and it wouldn't surprise me. I think that's the craziness. I think that's what I can't get through my head is that the fact that it's possible. That it's actually possible that this information is correct, and we're actually getting a glimpse into the truth versus what they're trying to just feed us, right? Like I think that's DPS. You can go. You don't have to raise your hand. You can just cut me off.
Like I just wanted to like comment on like the highly shorted stocks thing and like what you're talking about right now, because I think that there is like a really valid disconnect on the information that retail investors are being told and what the facts are. And like I say that from the view that like we see things like one of the early things that I think about that kind of like captured my imagination was there were a couple of situations where this was like during the original GME squeeze when there was like an older hedge fund manager who was like weeping on television, like how could like this happen, how could they do this, these people are like bastardizing the stock market system. And then there was another hedge fund manager who was um like angry, like screaming on the camera, just like infuriated, by, the masses essentially having King Kong by the balls. And I remember, like, so there's and what triggered this is, you talking about these being highly shorted stocks. And if you look at like highly shorted stocks list, like these stocks have kind of like disappeared, and the media is like stopped talking about them. And I mean, like AMC was number one on a short squeeze score list within, like, I think the past month. And I reviewed a short squeeze score list, and it's not even like on there anymore. So I begin to question kind of like who who are these, like, what are the hedge fund relationships with these media companies, what does that look like? And I think that there's a lot of tentacles that um, go work through the system. And it's that Jim Cramer video where the short and distort is sort of coined. And the media companies like ties with hedge funds and psychological manipulation. I definitely think that there's some overlap with the misrepresentation of data. And like some of this stuff, I would think it probably crosses boundaries of legality. And I don't read the terms of service on these sites or anything, but like the, something isn't adding up here, and it smells funny. And yeah, I don't. It's almost like I can't put my finger on it, but yeah, I feel like something is up.
Oh, yeah, 100% I'm with you on that. Like, well, and it's like you said, like they stopped talking about it. Like AMC is still getting some airway, but GME's not been mentioned. GME is not talked about. Like I have chills right now. Like it's almost as if like if we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. Like this is not a thing. Like we're not even going to talk about it because it's the freaking end of all ends, right? Like I don't understand how how it can't be talked about. I mean, you have a stock. You have a company that was almost bankrupt. Like if anything, like they should be celebrating this, right? Like you have a company that's almost bankrupt, that where people almost lost their jobs. And just the novelty of GameStop alone, it was almost lost. And the stock was what, $2 to $4 last year, and it runs, and it's a survivor story. Like I think, to me, I would be grabbing onto that and being like, hell yes, like this is the kind of success story that we need coming out of COVID. Like COVID has killed so many businesses and livelihoods and jobs and everything else. Like it's ridiculous. So the fact that they're not talking about it tells me everything I need to know. Everything I need to know. Like, okay, we are on the right side of this because there's something really sketchy going on.
Yeah, and I think that, so when you talk about like them not talking about it, I've also seen a couple of scenarios where, and I'm not sure if these were like edited. I think that sometimes I think that there's sometimes a bias of like proponents of GME folks who like the stock to kind of um maybe like hyperbolize or exacerbate things in certain ways. But um, I've seen some videos about like media people online where like someone would bring up GME, and like the person who was interviewing them, it was like sort of like their face like turned white because they've like pressed the magic taboo button, and all of a sudden they like change the trajectory of the conversation to a different topic. Like I think it happened with like Gary Gensler once. And I've seen this like happen a couple times. So it's almost like the like GME is sort of like a black hole of like destruction for the financial industry, and that like the situation is like actually so serious that like the powers that be are kind of like nixing like people engaging on it. So I mean, it, the if what is spoken and theorized about this is like actually true, I mean, the stock could actually like present a substantial threat to the actual like longevity and functionality of the U.S. financial system as a whole. And yeah, it's almost like this sort of thing where we're in it, but the infinite upside is kind of, it's never been explored to its maximum potential. And I think people are scared. I think some people are really scared about it.
Well, I mean, I would be too. I mean, stock can only go down so much, but this whole, there is no ceiling on a stock, like, I would be so pissed. I would be so mad. And what happened. They had their computers programmed to do the shorting. You know that. We can theorize on that one. That they programmed the computers to short these stocks to a certain point, and these computers went kind of haywire. No one was really fully monitoring it because, hey, there's never been such a thing where people caught on and called us out. Like, they were just kind of banking on the idea that, GameStop was just going to go under. It was just going to go down, and they didn't have to return the shorts. They didn't have to pay any money back. Like, they just kind of pocketed everything. Oops. Well, now you have this run on GameStop. Your short positions are now screwed, and your computers basically screwed you. So, like, I just, yeah, I don't think they want to talk. I think that it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't talk about it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I disagree with you a little bit on the computers making all of the decision. I mean, maybe to the extent of which things are shorted, but so like one of the things that I think it was in House of Cards Cryan's post where there's this like sort of I think in a certain extent like people are sort of snipers choosing targets and taking shots, and this is where it kind of like ties into the whole short and distort thing. So if certain companies are sort of chosen at that point, maybe the computers are like setting the limits, but it's really, in my opinion, it's sort of like it's in their best. So what they're doing is they're essentially shorting it to oblivion, right? So like let's say that they take out like 10 times the float in short positions or 240% of the float for GME, right? And then so GME is kind of like naturally going down in value because their financial reporting isn't looking good because of like COVID. They don't get foot traffic in the stores, or maybe even like the paradigm of the industry is changing to like digital downloads or something like that. So like the stock in the company might be unhealthy in the first place, but I think what they're doing is they're maxing out their short positions with the intent of actually shorting it into the ground. And like I feel like hedge funds have been doing this for a long time, and this is one of the reasons why I feel like shorting is sort of done in bad taste. And I say that from the perspective that, like, if I'm going to invest in a company, I want to invest in a company because I believe in what it's doing. I think it's going to get succeed. I'm going to get a return on my investment. But shorting, you're kind of like betting against a company and having like the sort of I want to see you fail mentality. But like from a just like strictly from like adding up all the numbers, right? Like if you short 240% of the float, right, and then you distort it to kind of like amplify that decrease in the stock, you're just making more money. I mean, like this is where people start like pigging out and getting greedy. And oh, I forget what that movie is, but like one of the lines at the end, like Al Pacino, I think it's Al Pacino, he says like, "You pigged out, kid." And I feel like that's what happened with these hedge funds. It's like you guys pigged out, you lost, you pushed it too far, and it's sort of like over. And yeah, the fact that like companies are sort of being targeted, that's it just really rubs me the wrong way. I think it's distasteful, as I was describing.
Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, there is there's a time and a place, right? Like, there is always a time and a place that, hedge funds, and for those that haven't heard this whole spiel, hedge funds have a place in the market. Like, they are there for a certain function, and is literally to be a neutrality factor in the market. Like, so if a stock goes crazy, they can short it, bring it back to its where it's stabilized. If it's falling too fast, they can pump it up to make it stabilize. That is essentially what they are, keyword, supposed to be doing. But the predatory ways that they have been just shorting companies into just non-existence is not right at all. And that's what needs to start being regulated. This whole owning the media and owning what gets said and oh well, GameStop's failing because they had to close out so many stores. Well, and I guarantee you that with the earnings call that they said, because they did say they had to close some stores down, right? But they are opening a new distribution center in Nevada. They're opening a customer support office here in Florida. So yeah, while they closed some of their storefronts down, they also grew. They expanded. They're, expanding their operation, which is a great thing. Like, and I just have this feeling that the media is going to spin that in a bad way, that, oh, GameStop is suffering because they had to close X many stores. No, that's just good business, because if your storefronts aren't operating to what they should be, you close them down, reallocate assets, and move it to where it's a better thing for your company. Zeus, what's going on?
So I just wanted to kind of expand on what DPS was saying about, hedge funds. Just the thing that we've all been saying is they could have covered at $5, right? Or or they could have covered at, like, when it was in single digits. But there's this weird rule, right, that basically says if you can short this company into bankruptcy where they cease operations because the hedge fund didn't have to buy the stock back to return it, there's basically no gain to be real. And technically, they don't have to pay the tax on it because they haven't actually had to complete the transaction. So what what we're seeing in a lot of cases is there's, in the OTC, companies they get shorted, they get driven into the OTC market. No one wants to do business with them. They can't get liquidity. They can't get loans. So there's all of these, what we call the zombie stocks that are in the OTC market, and they're just not covering it. And they're getting caught in some instances with, like, Sears Holding and recently with Blockbuster. But it's why this most recent rule that, they're going to move 2,800 of these zombie stocks into the expert market. Those are it's basically giving the hedge funds an out so that no one can really see what's going on with them anymore. They're never going to have to cover it, because it's just internal trading, and retail's not going to have access to any of that.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's a good point. No, we can't have access to the zombie stock. I mean, I do know, like with like Blockbuster, you were able to buy on Charles Schwab. I mean, you have to actually kind of know where to go get them though, too. That's the shitty thing, right? Like, to play where the big boys play, you have to know where to go. And I think that's something that we need to start kind of getting out there for, like, post MOASS, because I think that's how we finish this, right? Like, we're taking them down pretty far with MOASS, but to finish it and kind of help restructure it, we still have to keep playing against them. And I think that's something that we do have to consider. But no, it's a good point, Zeus. It is. I do have a question and I saw it on here. Juan asked, when we cash out, what are the pitfalls? We deposit the money into our bank accounts. If the banks are going through difficulties, will we be in danger of losing our profits? So this is where I tell you guys to get a hold of your bank, get a hold of an accountant, and get a hold of an attorney. These three people are going to be your very, very, very best friends, because they're going to know a hell of a lot more than I do, right? Advice, but me personally, looking at what I see in the market economy, I'm going to be looking to distributing this money to tangible objects, real estate, land, precious metals, things that I can touch, and some cryptos that I really do believe in. And then, you can set up trusts. There's different types of trusts that you can set up. And again, talk to your bank, talk to an accountant, talk to an attorney, and they can kind of guide you through this. Now, again, you don't have to say, "Hey, I'm a GME ape." I'm pretty sure at this point, the financial institutions really just don't like us, because I've heard so many horror stories of people being like, "Oh yeah, I'm in GameStop," and they just kind of get laughed out of whatever institution they're in. So what I would say is that, you've been investing, and you have, you plan on cashing out, or, moving the money into your bank account. What are my options? Something like that. You don't have to say you're an ape. It's none of their business. It's none of their business. Because at the end of the day, if they want to inquire, then I wouldn't trust them. I really wouldn't, because that's no one's business at all.
Well, and
Yes,
and
Steve.
you have to be careful, because in a standard bank account, FDIC only insures up to 250,000, right?
Yep.
So if
Yep.
you say you have, 100 million in your bank account, and you want to move it out, that's going to 400 different banks, right? So I know that there are some certain brokerages have a service. It's called like a CDRA or something. I can't remember it, but it allows you to. I mean, they'll set it up, and it'll spread out your deposits automatically across multiple banks without you having to go physically to the different banks to do so. And it's just a way to kind of better mitigate or better take advantage of the FDIC insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is that too. And I do know there's like some sub accounts that you can do at your bank, or depending on how many beneficiaries you have on your account. There's a whole crap ton of information about it. But again, there are people that are way more knowledgeable than I am, and that's for a whole nother day. Because then it's, if you go to these people, you can get your tax stuff set up. You can start planning ahead. We don't know when this is going to happen, but you want to be on top of it, so that when it does happen, you can sit back, relax, enjoy it, knowing that you got your ducks in a row. And once it's all said and done, your money's not in limbo, because your bank already kind of anticipates a large sum coming into it, or they already have things set up for it. Your attorney's on call to start drawing up paperwork for different things. It's just smart to do. It's smart to just kind of get everything in line, because it is inevitable. It is inevitable. They have to cover. Period. And then I did have a question from George. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by this question. How is the short shares being reported being down over the last 3 weeks, when the short percent volume is at 62.4% for the last 50 days? I'm not, like I said, I'm not 100% understanding the entire question here. Let me bring Can't Stop in here. Can't Stop? Did you hear that question?
I think he's asking is like, what is maybe he's referring to like Vortex or some shit like that. But you got to remember, like, they don't have to report their short positions, right? And then what they do report, I mean, why would they tell us they're real short positions? I mean, that's all. I take that as like bullshit, right? Like fucking short interest or whatever that Ortex reports, or fucking FINRA that's 2 weeks late, is like, it's all self-reported crap, right? So like, I wouldn't take that shit for what it is. But that's me personally. I don't know if that kind of answers this question, or yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I took it. Like, any data, and this kind of goes back to what we were just talking about with Yahoo Finance and all of that. Like, take everything that you see with a grain of salt, right? Like, we don't know. They don't want us to know their hand 100%. They're going to feed us information that they want us to see. They report short volume at 7.5 million, but short percent each day is 62.4% of the daily volume. Doesn't add up. Honestly, I mean, if it's coming from Ortex, it could be just misinformation. Honest, I hate to say that, but it could just be how it's being reported. Let me look into it. I haven't fully tracked GME short interest on Ortex for a while, just because I'm just that confident in it. That means 12.4% of the volume each day is shorted.
So I think like it gets reported every day, like on the exchange.
Oh, it's from Fenris.
That
Sorry.
yeah, it gets reported I think on the exchange or some shit like that at the end of the day, like what percentage of the volume was short volume, which I get what he's saying. It doesn't make sense. Like how can there be more than 50% of the volume that's short volume? But I think we have to take that for bullshit too. I forgot there was one of the AMAs on Super Stonk. I forgot. I think it was one of the. I think it might have been Dr. T or somebody who was saying, or it might have been Wes. But it's like the short percentage and short volume is all bullshit. It's like I forgot what they said, but yeah, I don't know how to really touch on that. I would just he just
No, yeah, that's like I said. Let me get in touch with one of my staff members, and I'll try to get some accurate information from Bloomberg Terminal and things like that. And we'll kind of compare and contrast, if that's okay, George, if that's cool. Because like Fenra and Fentel and Ortex, like, eesh, they're good starting points, but they don't always give the most accurate information. And even Bloomberg Terminal is sketchy sometimes. But let me get in touch with one of my staff that has it, and I'll get back to you on that. So I'm gonna keep your message up for me. Let's see. I have L. Corleonis. I'm failing at names today, guys. If I make a large amount, and let's say I want to avoid banks, should I consider gold ETFs or gold mining companies or physical gold? Which one usually holds value, in your opinion? In my opinion, not financial advice. I'm just stately. I like tangible things. I like tangible items that I can touch and I can handle and I can trade off if I need them. But I mean, if you're going into ETFs or if you're trying to invest in a gold mining company, unless you go directly to the gold mining company and say, "Here's my investment into your company. I would like X amount of return," you're still going through the banks, so, or any kind of financial institution. So that would be, I like tangible objects. That's just, I'm gonna leave it at that. Can't stop. Do you have anything with that one?
I'm part of that question.
What?
The way.
You need me to read it again?
Yeah, if you can, real quick.
Oh, yeah. If I make a large amount, and let's say I want to avoid banks, should I consider gold ETFs or gold mining companies or physical gold? Just in your opinion, which one would hold more value?
So, me personally, I would buy physical gold. But yeah, that's what I would do. You could buy gold bars, coins, whatever. I definitely wouldn't do an ETF. Like I just wouldn't. And then yeah, I just feel more comfortable with having the actual gold itself or whatever I'm deciding to get.
Yeah, I would agree. Like gold, silver, copper, brass, any of your precious metals, really. So copper and brass because of ammo. Because if you guys haven't been following global news or even domestic news, we have cut off our ammo trade with Russia. Was it Russia? Yeah, I believe so. So ammo and weapon type things are going to get more expensive. So there's that. Brandon asks, computer share might be a good topic to show the option to direct register new shares and diversify from brokers and DTCC. Does AMC have a direct register? I honestly do not know that answer. I can find out. And I've been seeing, okay, so this is what happens, guys, when life kicks in and you have no time to research. Computer share. I've seen you guys talking about it. I have to research this. Let me look up.
So I think computer share is directly registered with GameStop or whatever. It's people say it's kind of it's a like if you plan on selling your shares quickly or like, you know, say you own 100 shares. So if I were to own 100 shares and I put them in computer share, and then MOASS happens, it's gonna be a process for me to get those out. I think I have to like go locate a broker to execute the trade for me or some shit like that. It's a process. So if I want, like, I plan on only selling a few shares. Like if I can only sell one and like I'm good, I would do that too. But like I feel like for me, I'm probably gonna sell like 5 shares. I'm hoping. That's all I have. Like, and I want to put the rest and just keep them away. So, but I'd like to see what happens with, you know, during the MOASS and all that stuff, how that shit plays out. But that's like a place where if you want to keep your shares and just hold them, and I think you're assigned actual ownership of those shares. Like those actually belong to you. If you own them on Webull or whatever, those shares, your name is not actually like on those shares, right? It's Webull or TD or Fidelity or whatever, whose name is, or forgot, they're the custodian or whatever, but they're not actually yours. They belong to them and they're holding it for you or some shit like that. But with computer share, you actually own that certificate or share, whatever.
So it's kind of like using like Coinbase for crypto or things like that. Like where you actually would own the coin versus going through like Robinhood, Webull, where you have
yeah.
a contract.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So you'd actually own that, but it's a process to. I don't know. I haven't done it, but from what I've seen or people say that have done it, is it's a little bit of a process. It's kind of a headache to get, you know, shares in there or buy shares from them. But I mean, it all depends what your intentions are by doing that to see if it's going to be worth it or not for you.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm just looking at it right now. And they have a lot of different services too, so like your housing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just I'm gonna look into this because I saw you guys talking about it throughout Twitter the other day, and I wasn't actually 100% sure what it was. Because I'm like sitting over here like pounding out article after article and trying to get my Rome DD done that I'm actually very intrigued by. So yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you telling me about that. Can't stop. And okay, so back to Brandon. Direct register new shares and diversify from brokers and DTCC. Yeah. And I don't know if AMC has a direct register. I will figure that out for you. So put that on my to-do list as well. Yeah, interesting. You guys are doing great. Like I'm just, I don't know. I guess that's where I'm so excited to see so many people, just over the course of the weekend, just doing so much research and learning so much and just sharing. Like it's been epic. Like I appreciate it so much. Trying to think. Something else I want to talk about GameStop. I can't remember now, guys. Oh, here, Chase. I gotcha. But yeah, I will say I am very bullish with AMC, or not. Well, I'm bullish with AMC, but with GME too. You know, just the MOASS in general. Like I don't know. There's just something in the air. I don't know. I'm very just. I'm very restless for this week. Especially, I'm sure you guys saw my Lucky Charm tweet today. I had a giggle when we were at the store. Our daughter enjoys Lucky Charms, like eating it dry or whatever because of the marshmallows. And so when I saw it was like galactic Lucky Charms, that I was like, oh man, like I never have those moments in the store where I get those like bullish sentiments in the store. And when I saw that, I was like, yes, we're buying these just based on this right now. So I don't know, like there is something, guys. Like I have a good feeling with this week. What's going on, Chase? Chase?
Hi, sorry. So I'm
Hi.
currently going through an issue with computer share. So I own a gold mining stock, which I've owned for several years. I actually took physical possession of the certificate. So I had the stock certificates physically in my possession. However, when I moved, in the moving process, I lost those certificates, unfortunately. So I'm currently still in the process of trying to get those physical certificates reinstated back to me. It's been several months. I've been to the bank to get my forms notarized and stuff. So I just kind of wanted to point out what my personal experience with computer share has been. However, the other shares that I did have in computer share, they were also gold and silver mining stocks that I've owned for a while, for years actually. So those ones I have no problem. But when you lose a certificate, when you lose a physical certificate, it's very difficult to try to get them reinstated or to get copies reissued to you. So if you do consider going that route and do take physical possession, make sure you don't lose them because it's kind of like it's going to be a hassle. The other thing, just to clarify some terminology, when you're with your broker, your shares are in what's called street name. So the broker actually has the shares in lieu for you. But when you're with computer share, your book is in book entry form, meaning that when they go to look who's the owner of these GameStop shares in computer share, your name is on it in computer share. It's book entry. Whereas if it's at the brokerage, it's street name. So in that regard, I think by moving it to computer share, it does help tilt the tide in favor of documenting like how many real shares are out there. Like theoretically, if everybody went to computer share and directly uh, registered their shares into book entry form, imagine what would happen. Your individual names will be associated with each of your individual shares for every ape. So that would be powerful. But logistically, I mean, there's pluses and minuses, but I just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's awesome to hear like firsthand experience with it. Be cautious with anything that you do, right? Just be cautious, be aware of what you're doing. Thank you, Chase, for sharing your experience. I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate that and take that all into consideration too. I know I will. I'm gonna look into it. I don't know. It's different, right? Hmm. I am curious. I don't know. I'm very curious now. Um, I'm trying to make sure there's no questions on YouTube right now. Yeah, and right, RC, man, leave the poor man alone. He is trying to do some great things. If he's not tweeting, well, then maybe there's something bigger coming, right? Poor RC. But yeah, I don't know, guys. Like I'm very excited. I went and read over a lot of the old GME DD. I've started kind of back. Like it's been kind of like a little like chapter book for me lately. And I am really I'm just excited about where we've come from and how far we've gone in the whole search for the truth, right? How much data we've collected, how much information we've contributed to one another, and like House of Cards, 1 and 2, and Shark Bait's LIBOR posts that he did, and going through some of DFE's old stuff, and just just all the madness that we've uncovered. And I just, hats off to everyone that's, either been in here since, the beginning, however long, since October or December of last year, or January, or if you're just getting in. And my hat is definitely off to you if you're just getting into this nonsense, and trying to figure it out. Don't ever hesitate to ask anybody that you see up in the spaces or that's commenting on things. Don't ever hesitate, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, we don't mind answering the questions if we know it, and if we don't know it, we can probably figure out somebody that does know it. That's kind of become the cool thing with the community, is we just are one big collective brain, and I think that's pretty epic. It doesn't matter, and I think that's something that we need to get back to the roots on a lot of this. Something that I did see this weekend with the AMC apes and some of the GME apes, actually, trying to figure out the lawsuit thing. People literally unblocked each other. People unblocked each other and were in spaces together just to come together as a community. Didn't matter what kind of...
Chad 2.0.
Yes, I was trying to keep that one off of there.
That was wrecked instantly. That was pretty quick.
Instantly. And it was phenomenal. Like, right? We all came together as a community to say no.
Nobody asked for
that. No. And that was kind of the brilliance, right? And so it was nice to see. And granted, I'm sure everybody went and blocked each other again after that was said and done and whatnot. But that's how you keep your sanity in all of this, right? Is just you kind of tune out the nonsense that you don't want to see. But if the community believes in something, yeah, you unblock whoever you need to go and talk and have good communication, because that's the first step to understanding a lot of this. So, that was pretty epic. Jay, what did you want to come up and say?
I was in a space the other day, and somebody mentioned the correspondence between certain OTC penny stocks getting delisted in accordance with certain rules, the CAT system, and September 28th something's supposed to be happening, and they had mentioned how they had got a certain OTC to squeeze just by using 4 people, and they had mentioned that that's where they had thought that the big hedge funds were hiding all their money in the OTC market and just flip-flopping it, and certain how do you say, tickers are still in there that are thought to be bankrupt, which they've never even covered the positions on.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, honestly. I mean, the OTC market's very hard to get into, because it's not, at least for the retail investor, because it's not like Webull, it's not like Robinhood or anything that we're all used to in that sense, like TD Ameritrade and Fidelity and things like that. Those don't usually offer a lot of the same OTC stocks.
Right.
So you kind of have to know, like Charles Schwab and a few others like that you can go to and go into it. And plus, it's hefty to get into some of those. So it wouldn't surprise me, like with what they did with Blockbuster and Sears.
Right.
And so think of it. You remember the crypto pump, that random crypto pump that they did a few months back?
Like from nothing to a 1,000,000% in a day, and like dropped back down
and then fell off.
Yeah.
Yep. And that would be my conclusion to what kind of happened, because I've been watching Blockbuster since March. Like, because my husband and I watched the documentary on the last Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon, and so I looked up. I was like, I wonder if they still have stock, and they do. Yeah. And I found it, and so I had it and on my watch list just to kind of have fun with it. And it was like, when I first found it, it was 0.001 cents. And I said, oh, poor Blockbuster. That's so sad. And I really thought about getting into it just for the fun of it, the novelty, I guess. But I never did, just because I didn't want to get into Charles Schwab just then and whatnot. So, but to see it run, like it was before I even got on Twitter that day, and I see it be at 2 cents. I was like, what the hell is going on? Why is Blockbuster at 2 cents? It was asinine.
Right. And
And
then
so
Sears, what was that? That
um,
ran up to like 278% in one day.
Yeah.
yeah, like Sears, it was craziness. So I do believe they are starting to pump up these sub penny stocks and trying to gain liquidity that way. Because I mean, you figure if you have millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars in these stocks.
Well, the way somebody proposed it to me is that that's actually where they're hiding their liquidity in these penny stocks, and that's why you see them every day. You know, like going back and forth. Like I own a few penny stocks, and like one day they'll all be red, and then the next week they'll all be green. It's like a cyclical thing. I don't know if you guys have looked into that at all.
I looked into it years ago when we were flipping penny stocks. And it's like every week or every 3-4 weeks, they just kind of pump up. And it is very possible. Like, they're trying to meet, margin and whatnot. They just kind of hide money in there. That's very possible.
Right, and also it's like a certain tickers have just been recently delisted as the CAT system came into play as of September 3rd, I believe, and the rest are coming off by September 28th.
How convenient is that?
Like the
Mhm.
way all the things are lining up, it seems very weird. I was just wondering if the BullHouse looked into anything of like as far as the funds hiding their money in the penny stocks and anything of that nature.
I am not at the moment. I can though
No,
if
well,
you want me to. I
it's
can try to
just
look
food
into
for
it.
thought because I
Yeah.
was in a space and somebody said that just like four people made a certain stock rise like a tremendous amount just by buying you know a certain amount. Like they had that theory and they tested it and it actually came to fruition.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. Mr. Kelly, what do you got
What's
for us?
happening, people? So, for those that don't know me, my name is Mr. Kelly. This is my 10th account because I have anger issues, but I say it's not
The
anger,
screaming guy.
it's passion. Yeah, and I've learned my lesson. So, for people that are in here that are invested in whatever you're invested in, that's your path. I'm not here to say right, wrong, and different. But what I am here to tell you guys today is I'm tired of the fucking bullshit of fucking Wall Street. I'm tired. We are all tired. I've been fighting this fucking fight for so goddamn long. I can't even contain myself. I am so angry. But you know what? It's going to change. You know why it's going to change? We are on the 10th anniversary of Occupy Wall Street 1.0. 10 fucking years. 10 fucking years. People went and marched on those motherfuckers and ain't nothing changed. Not a goddamn fucking thing has changed in 10 years. And now we sit here idly by. We have the power. Motherfuckers in this space, we're fucking individual fucking people with our own reasons for doing what the fuck we do. But as a group, joined together, we are going to be some loud motherfuckers. And I'm tired of people waiting for the apple to be handed to us. I'm tired of saying it's in a play. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Let's see what happens the next day. Fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't a call to arms to say raise the pitchforks and fire, but it's like get behind something. If we ain't changing the shit today in the world around us today, what's the point? What's the fucking point of having MOASS and having ungodly amounts of money if it's the same fucked up world with the same fucked up narratives every single day? You know what I mean? And so we're starting a fucking hashtag. It's fucking Stonkupy. You're gonna start seeing it fucking go everywhere. We're gonna fucking blast it on fucking shitbag Kramer's page. We're gonna blast it on CNBC's bullshit. We're gonna blast it to the fucking Fed. We are gonna take back the narrative, and we're gonna do it with every motherfucker that's in here listening and every other person you can get to jump on this shit because we are occupying Wall Street. We've been occupying Wall Street the second we bought what we wanted and we've held it. Okay? We are occupying the fucking time and we're occupying their fucking minds and we're going to take back the narrative and say, no, you aren't going to tell us what the fuck's going on anymore. I'm sorry, Fed. I'm sorry, fucking chairman, blah, 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 stupid bitch. This is our fucking time, okay? You guys had 10 years and you didn't do shit but fuck it up even worse. Okay, we bailed you out in '08. We fucking let us get silenced in fucking 11, and it's 2021. 10 fucking years have come and gone, and they ain't done shit. And I'm tired. They ain't gonna do shit. They ain't gonna do a fucking thing to help any of us. Because at the very end of the day, motherfucking Tupac had it right. They don't give a fuck about us. They don't care. At the end of the day, we're fucking roaches. They want us to die. They want us to get bored. They want us to go on. They want us to stop fucking with them. They want us to stop fucking tweeting them. They want us to be silent. And they're gonna silence us. If we don't fight back and we don't join behind something bigger than AMC or GME or Dogecoin or NFT or whatever the fuck you're passionate about, if you don't rally those people up and say enough's enough, we're all going to fall, right? And we all know Ape Strong together. Trust me, if you follow my shit, you know how I feel about shit, right? And for the longest time, I thought that I knew what that meant, and I didn't. I truly didn't until now, but I do now. And I do understand that shit. And I'm not here to tell you guys how to live your lives. All I'm asking you to do is use your brains. If you have a brain and you have a fucking pencil in your hand, we're all artists. We're all creative. We're all one in a trillion of fucking opportunities that are there. And what they want to do is stuff us into holes. They want to suppress us. They want to silence us. They want to stop us, but they can't. It's coming one way or another. It is coming one way or a fucking other. Because I ain't going to fucking die until this shit takes off. That's me. I'm a passionate motherfucker. I speak from the heart. I'm not here for a fucking platform. I never joined this shit to be where I'm at today, but this is my path. And I'm going to use with the abilities that I've been blessed with to ring the fucking bell, shout the fucking battle cry, whatever it needs to be to rally people behind something and say, this is it. We're done. Fuck your guys and your shit. The economy's in fucking flames, right? The Fed can just print money forever. They've already, they gloat in our face. The Fed has unlimited money. We can do whatever the fuck we want, right? And it's like, okay, well, that's great. Well, fuck you then. You know what I mean? And this has to be something organic. It can't start overnight. But all I hope is that you come in here tonight and hopefully maybe just one of you, if just one person in here tonight says, damn, maybe that dude's onto something, and you see me post some shit and then you tag in my shit and then you jump into something and somebody that likes you does your shit. That's how this shit starts. Occupy 1.0 started by one blog post to 5 fucking people. And look what that shit turned into, right? Because the message was true. Honesty and truth will always fucking prevail. It always will. And if you speak truthfully from your heart, you have no problem saying what the fuck needs to be said because you tell no lies. And that's who I am. That's who the person that I am today. I'm not here to pick fights over people that are with me in this cause. I'm not here to do anything like that. I'm here to take down the stupid motherfuckers that have put us into holes and want us to kill ourselves and put us into shitty fucking positions and have us fucking clawing for a fucking meal and all that bullshit. That's them. Okay, the 1%. We're all the 99. We're all on this fucking Twitter space listening to people talk, asking for answers, asking for some sort of fucking guidance, right? Here's the guidance. Do it yourself. Get involved. It doesn't take much. It does not take much. I am telling you, you'd be amazed at what algorithms and what fucking Twitter and social media can do, what Reddit can do. We've seen it. Look at Wall Street Bets, how one man from DFV, right, his post, Roaring Kitty, all that shit, how that has changed the world. It doesn't take a lot, but it takes people to get engaged. Don't wait for somebody to hand you the apple, okay? Do not wait for them to give it to you. Seize the fucking day yourself. Be the change you want in the world today, right now. You can do it. You don't need MOASS to make it happen. You don't need money to have a voice. You know what I'm saying? You can do it right now, right this second. And all you got to do is just start following some people, you start fucking posting some hashtags, and start dominating the fucking narrative as a group. Stop fighting over which stock is going to do what. Stop fighting over who's right or who's wrong. We're all right. We're all right. Right? We all want the same fucking thing. We all want a better life for our kids and our families and our generations. We all want to be the people that plant the flag for the legacy of my family. I'm going to be fucking proud as hell when this shit's all said and done to look back and go, guess what? Yeah, I'm the motherfucker that stood up against all that shit and did that. That's me, boys. Be proud of your old man. You know what I mean? That's the fucking legacy you guys can be writing today. And with that, that's it. If you're down with it, if you're about it, all you got to do is just fucking get engaged. It's hashtag Stonkupy, STNOKUPY. It's all you got to fucking do, and just start fucking slamming it. And we're gonna fucking slam it and slam it and slam it and slam it until they can't deny it. You know, everyone's gonna want to know what the fuck it is, and you heard it here first. Okay.
Thanks,
All right.
Mr. Kelly. I
I'm gonna
appreciate
go
it.
eat some dinner.
It's happy to hear you so passionate. But I do, before
Yeah.
you go, Corey actually just posted this a few minutes ago.
Need help on Spider-Man? All right, I'll be in there in a second. Oh, Miles, all right. Yeah, go ahead. I'll be in there in a second.
No worries. So Wells Fargo has halted all small business loans, and this is confirmed by my conversation with a friend who works for Wells Fargo's bank after she attempted to apply for a small business loan. And so I'll read the little text here. Get this, went to apply for a small business loan for a customer Thursday while the option to apply was no longer in our system. So I called down support and they said we are not doing them. Wells Fargo failed to mention to its employees we have placed small business loans on hold. And then he says, oh, so we're getting closer than we think. Yeah, but the company normally gives us a heads up. We were told about personal lines of credit 6 months in advance. No one in my company knew about it, and we were all like, WTF. We just did small business loans last month, but the link you posted, and it says, Federal Reserve Board announces individual capital requirements for large banks effective October 1st. Will be $1 trillion in high quality capital. Jesus. So, made me think this had something to do with it. Continued on a normal. So he asked, was it a normal small business loan or was it a pandemic type loan? They responded, a normal business loan. We can't even do 5,000 small business loan. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely
incredible.
no surprise. Banks' liquidity is gone. The market, I mean, it's
Yeah.
It's obviously very convenient timing, and that's why this movement is going to start one way or the other. This shit's going to happen, and I'm just here to help spread this message because the timings of everything. If anybody knows anything about history and how it repeats itself and turnings and anything else, if you just follow any part of that stuff, it always repeats itself. The timings are too convenient. And the reason that we're doing this now is we're going to control the narrative. We're going to be the ones that are going to dictate what happens when this shit starts going down, when the banks all start failing, for when the old people don't have anything else to do, the poor fucking boomers that are looking at Jim Cramer like he's the source of information. Those are the people that we have to start. If we don't start the narrative being spun now, it'll be too late when it's already happened, right? Everybody knows that.
No, I wouldn't say the boomer. I don't trash
I'm
on
not
the
trashing on
boomers.
boomers.
We
No,
got some boomers in our
trust me,
movie.
I'm just trashing on the people that let's
I
just call
think
them
I'm a
zombies. They
boomer.
could be
But
any
don't.
age. The zombies that just are brain dead and they're programmed. They're just programmed that way. It's nothing against them. They're just
Yeah.
blinded by it, unfortunately. And those are the ones that are going to need the most help. My
Hey, man.
grandparents are that way.
I was blinded for a
No.
while, dude, until the whole GameStop shit popped off. Then it's like I took the red pill. You know what I mean? And it opened up my eyes.
Absolutely. I
It'll
gotta
get
go.
you
But
every
again,
time.
follow me up. Fucking jump in this shit. You see me posting random shit to Elon or whoever. Jump in. Have fun. But you may not know it, but a simple post, a GIF, just some shit posting with the hashtag is powerful. The numbers don't lie. You control the narrative with people and numbers, and that's all it is. So I gotta go.
All right.
Later.
Thanks, Mr. Kelly. Appreciate it.
Speaking of Wells Fargo, didn't they just get fined like $1 billion or some crazy shit for not? I think it was for not paying the penalties for the last shit that happened with them about creating all those fake accounts. And on another note, touching on what Mr. Kelly was saying, this, I don't know if we talked about it yet, but I think the head of the feds or some shit like that, they're gonna liquidate all their fucking stocks or some shit all of a sudden because it's some ethics bullshit or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that post the other day.
What the fuck is that? There's no way it has something to do with ethics all of a fucking sudden, like a couple days before the fucking spy, or like the day before the spy fucking went down. All this shit is happening right now. Like after all these years and decades of fuckery, all of a sudden now it's a fucking ethics thing. Like, come on, man. They really think people are. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like back before, even during January, I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I used to watch Kramer and listen to him every fucking day. Like I had no fucking clue about any of this shit. Like nothing. But I mean, they have to know that enough people around the fucking world, not just here, are like waking up to this shit. Like they really think. I think they really think we believe all the bullshit that they keep fucking spewing out or something. Like, I don't know.
Well, to touch on what you were just talking about with the Wells Fargo photo, I saw that one, and I actually have it up here. Insider, even as Wells Fargo announced the expiration of 2016 consent order levied by federal regulators in the wake of the fraudulent account scandal, it now faces a new $250 million fine related to issues stemming from the bank's mortgage loss modification system. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency said that the civil money penalty and a related cease and desist order have been brought against the bank for unsafe or unsound practices. Imagine that. Related to its mortgage services businesses and for failing to address compliance and risk issues raised in the 2018 OCC consent order, Wells Fargo has not met the requirements of the OCC's 2018 action against the bank. This is unacceptable. In addition to the $250 million civil money penalty that they are assessing against Wells Fargo, today's action puts limits on the bank's future activities until existing problems in mortgage servicing are adequately addressed. Oh boy. Yes. So, yeah, I did see that. And this is where, if you guys remember a few months back, the banks I was watching, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. Goldman Sachs is always just into something, so we just kind of put them always. But Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, and JP Morgan were the three that I was constantly looking at, and all three of them are getting into trouble.
Now, how does that correlate? How does that correlate to your trading account? Like, say, whatever you have uses J.P. Morgan as a bank, because I've done wire transfers before in the past, and it had to go through them as one of the bankers that they use for the trading platform. How could that affect me in the MOASS? Like, if one of these big banks goes down, or are they all too big to fail again? How's that for a question?
I don't think they're gonna let them fail. I mean, I have no idea what would happen to you personally for doing that, but
no, it just opened my eyes to who they do their banking with. You know what I mean?
And that's where I've been saying, if you can get in with a credit union, get away from the big banks. I mean, granted, we do have the Greenspan put that's been enacted since '87, which basically says that we always will bail out our financial sec. We can't let them fail, blah, blah, blah. But we're in such a weird time frame. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. So if you can get in with a credit union, I would. And get away from the big banks. I mean, even Regions Bank, it's a smaller bank. It's not like JP Morgan and all of them.
Well, that's not.
But
well, that's not what I meant. Really, I was like, when I went to do the wire transfer, J.P. Morgan was the bank that was backing my trading platform. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, yeah. So, J.P. Morgan backs a lot of the different trading companies. So it shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't, but this also shouldn't be happening.
Right. So we don't know what the fuck's gonna happen.
We don't. We honestly don't. But at the end of the day, it is a debt owed, so it should be okay, I would think. But
that was just something that was in the back of my mind. I figured I'd pick your brain while I had you here.
Yeah, no. I'm thinking because okay. If you're with broker A, and broker A uses JP Morgan to clear money.
Right.
Which I know Robinhood, or God blessed Robinhood, uses JP Morgan. So this is for those people. They would be the ones. So you cash out and the money would come from. So yeah, I think it would be fine because the money would have to come from the hedge funds.
Right. The banks are the ones that are going to collect the debts from the funds and the market makers, right?
And then, yes, and then that money would be transferred into your own bank. So yeah, I think it should be fine.
We shall see.
But
We shall see. I don't make any kind of promises, but given that how things are supposed to work, again, supposed to work, I would believe it'd be okay. But again, our federal government won't let these huge banks fail because guess who's funding them? So, yeah.
this is like 2008, just on steroids. It's on steroids.
Oh my
That's
God,
all.
it is the 70s, it's 29 and 08 all mixed into one big freaking mess, and this is literally what I am trying to figure out at the moment. Like, because we do like everything's just so like what Mr. Kelly was saying it's like the fourth turn, right? Like, but if you believe in the fourth turn, we have 7 more years of just BS, of the crisis turn. And so what that looks like exactly, I'm not entirely sure, because I cannot fathom 7 years of just craziness in this kind of sense, because people will lose their mind.
I mean, just sitting here for a year holding the stock is enough to drive you nuts, let alone. It just seems eerie, like all the things that are culminating at the same time. Like everybody pulling out of the war in Afghanistan, the super virus all over the world, all of their things saying that, one shot will work, 2 shots will work. Now you need a 3rd shot. Then you can't get a job if you don't have a shot. It's like all these things are coming together at the same time. It's pretty mind-boggling, to say the least.
Okay. I am trying to also decipher, and I'm very hesitant to say this. I'm very hesitant to say this because I'm going to get some backlash, and that's understandable. But I cannot help, and you guys know I've been here since January. You know that. I cannot help but feel like something is distracting from another thing, and I can't figure it out yet, because if in the grand scheme of things, the meme stocks, the people invested in meme stocks is not that many people. In the grand scheme of the whole population, it's really not that many people. So I am wondering if, a lot of this stuff that is going on, these major headlines, obviously COVID's real. I believe in COVID. Don't kill me on that one. No, I'm just saying in general, anyone in here. I know COVID's real. COVID is a thing. COVID is nothing to mess with. It's like pneumonia. There's other things, right? I've worked in the medical field. But at the same time, like, I'm trying to figure out what are they trying to detract from, right? Because they're not talking about the meme stocks anymore. It got maybe a few months of airtime, but this is so huge. Like, I would figure that this would be all over the news. Like, there's something, so, and then you have the whole thing with Afghanistan, and that was only talked about maybe a week on some of these news networks. Like, that's huge. 20 years in a war, and you cover it for a week. Like, hello, no, that's not how that works. And then you have, but we also know, if you're looking at the financial crisis, you're seeing the housing bubble, you're seeing inflation, you're seeing the problems with not raising our debt ceiling, and them still trying to get $6 trillion for another relief package or some BS. So I'm trying to figure out, what are they trying to distract us away from? Is it the meme stocks? Are they trying to do all this other craziness because they don't want people invested in the meme stocks? Because, oh, guess what? This is the way out. This is how you survive the next 7 years of craziness, because they are the inverse to the economy. This is how you set yourself up and your family up to be able to survive the incoming collapse or crash that could happen. Now, granted, yes, the economy needs to do something to where it does correct itself, because I've shown you guys the charts. I've shown you how ridiculous this upward trend of our economy is at this point. Like, it's disgusting. It shouldn't be like this at all. And so I'm wondering if that's kind of what they're trying to detract away from. And because, I mean, think of 08. If you guys can remember
with the
08.
Afghanistan pullout, look.
With just all the randomness, like you said, it's just a lot. Like, there's just every week something is happening, and it makes you dizzy, because you're like, okay, now we have So we had COVID, and then we had masks and don't mask, and now we have vaccines, and oh, this vaccine's bad, but this vaccine's okay, and now we have this state's bad and this state's good, and the two, New York and California's governors going all crazy, like,
Yeah.
holy mother, like, like how do you even concentrate on any of this? Because you're going, okay, hold on. And then you have food shortages, you have the truckers, you have everything going on in Australia and the trade wars and China doing this and that and finding oil and
Car shortages.
yeah, chip shortage. I mean, I went to the grocery yesterday and half of my shelves in Walmart were empty.
Just like I remember
Empty.
during COVID, you couldn't find a thing of Lysol. Now
Yeah.
all you could find is Lysol everywhere.
Right. So I mean, there's something I'm wondering if they are trying to keep people focused on all of this bad and all of this craziness and this chaos, and to detract away from what's actually going on in the economy, because they're not talking economics. And I think that's what's frustrating me, because people need to know. It reminds me of 08 and 10, where nobody was talking about what was happening. Nobody was listening and nobody was watching, and that is how people got burned.
Yeah, that was the biggest rug pull ever.
And so, and I think that's where I get my passion from, is because it's like, if I can help one person, if I can help more, it's even great. But we need to talk, guys. We need to keep talking, because there is something we are missing in that sense. Like, what are they trying to distract away from the meme stocks? Is this because this is the ticket out, and why?
Do you want me to put on my tinfoil hat?
Let's finish it out with a tinfoil hat. We got 15 minutes.
I'm not doing it by myself. No way.
I'll tinfoil hat with you. That's fine.
Oh man, where do I begin?
No, I mean, we can always do this tomorrow too. I mean, we can tinfoil hat tomorrow. We can have a open discussion of whatever. Because I'm pissed, guys. And I try not to cuss on the live stream. I do try, but I'm really irritated that there are people that won't know, right? Until it happens, because they're not on Twitter, they're not on Discord. They get their news from CNN or MSNBC or whatever, and they won't know until it's already happened. Food shortages and gas shortages or inflation costs, or just the craziness. Like, and they're gonna say, "What the hell happened?"
Right. If you talk to a normal, well, so-called normal person on the street, and you try to explain the things that you've learned so far in your journey in the last year or whatever with the financial market and how the economy's running and everything, they look at you like you're crazy,
Oh,
like
100%.
So people are unaware of what's going on behind the curtain. It's
Yeah.
scary as shit.
And I don't know. I just want to shake people. Is that bad?
No.
Like, can I get in trouble for that if I just go on the street and just start shaking people and going, "Do you realize what's going on?" Because I'm just at a loss at this point, because I like the truth. I want the truth. I want to know exactly what's going on, because that's the only way. It's not fair, right? It's not fair to those that don't know, and to sit here and just give out BS news stories about whatever. And by the way, guys, I'm gonna do something, and I want to see if you guys all agree. So if I can have like hundreds or anything up in the chat, even YouTube, if you guys want to put up something, I want to kind of write up a theoretical post, a theoretical journal entry or article that blames us.
What?
Okay. Hold on. Listen to me. To start preparing people for what is about to happen, because we will be blamed for this shit. We will be blamed. It's going to be, it's satire,
a minuscule
whatever.
amount of investors will be blamed for destroying the world economy.
100%, because of what? Because so how they will phrase this is that the apes went in and manipulated the market and took control and didn't sell and just kind of played by different rules, and they caused all the short sellers to go under, and that caused the banks to go under and everything. We will be blamed. I want you guys to know we will be blamed. But I have this theory, or this idea to write an article that blames us so that people can start kind of getting used to it and say, hell no, this wasn't us, because we have all the DD we have written. So I'm going to write two of them, actually. One that blames us and one that's literally coming from me that says, we didn't do this. You did it. Here is every piece of DD that has ever been done for this instance. You guys did this. We're trying to correct it for future generations. So there's going to be two. So if you guys want that, I can try to do that. And it will be in, I'll either do it on Reddit or in the first edition of the magazine, so that we can both, so that you guys can see it, right?
Did you start your magazine already?
I'm hoping to launch it by October 1st.
Wow.
Oh, I'm trying. But I mean, if that's something you guys want, and it's going to be hard. I mean, I like journalism. I like writing, obviously. But I think it would be good for people to start seeing it so they don't panic after MOASS, right? When they're, they don't have that survivor's guilt type thing.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's a really good idea. Absolutely.
Sweet. Yay, I was on to something.
It would definitely be an interesting read,
Okay, I will do that. I will try to get that out by the weekend. And you know what? Yeah, I'll post it up on Reddit, and then I'll just put it in the magazine. So we'll do it both. It'll be just kind of one of those special little things. Like, don't fall for this, right? The first one will be we get blamed. But the second one will be, no, this is the accurate information. Here is the truth. You guys effed up. You guys got called out. We're fixing it. Because if you guys do look at the fourth turn, like the turnings, the millennials are actually classified as the heroes in the turns. Like, anyone born in the millennial time frame are the heroes. And I think that's actually pretty cool. Because there's, you have the artists, you have the, the philanthropists, and I can't remember what the other one is. But different generations are classified in different ways, and I think this is going to be the way we write the history, the correct way. Because if they write it, we look bad. We will look bad. And that can't be a thing. Like, you can't sit there and literally blame the people that have been trampled on for decades. Like, this goes back to 29. You can't blame the people that have been working their asses off generation after generation to try to even make it in the world when you've been rigging the system the whole time. That doesn't work. So just because you got called out doesn't mean you get to write history. No, I will write both sides, and you will know the true side. And I look forward to that one, because it'll be like, here's where you screwed up, here's where you kicked the can, and here's where you got caught out, because I plan on trying to do it in increments, right? Yeah, that's cool. I look forward to it.
So we'll be looking forward to seeing you on CNN.
Oh, hell no.
Or Fox.
Hell no.
That was a
no,
joke.
no.
They would never let you on there anyway.
They wouldn't. No.
Oh, that was the joke in there.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't. They don't want me on there. But no, that's for BullHouse. BullHouse I am trying to make it a media company, a truth-seeking media company. Both sides, we hear all sides, and we get to the bottom of it. There is no echo chambers for me. I can't do it. It's stupid. It is absolutely stupid. But no, I'm excited for this year. For this year, but this week. I'm sorry, I'm looking at time, and I'm gonna have to sign off of here, guys. So if you do want to join First Strike Tyson in our Discord, he has a special live interview that he's going to be doing tonight, starting in 8 minutes, which I do think is very cool. Or it will be on the YouTube. That's why I have to free up the space for him so that he can launch that. But yeah, so I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll probably.
Who's he interviewing?
Oh, you need to me. I can't remember what the guy's name is. Look at you doing that to me. Give me one sec. I can't remember if they're using usernames or if it's I have to make sure. All right, Gator Traders. Sorry. I I think that's the crappy thing. I don't know if I'm allowed to use names or not on some of his interviews. But yeah, Gator Traders will be live in about 8 minutes in our Discord and on YouTube with First Strike. So that will be a very fantastic thing. So
Sorry, is it on the BullHouse? Or
it is in BullHouse Discord. I will post the link up
no, I mean on YouTube.
as soon as I finish this. Oh, yes, on BullHouse YouTube.
All right, thank you.
Yep. All right, guys. It's been great. Tomorrow we will talk GME, broad market, whatever. It's probably going to be an open mic. So if you guys want to join us tomorrow, I would appreciate it. Be kind to one another, okay?
Thanks, Ken. Have a good night.
You too, guys. Good night.